Alright, hello everybody. Welcome to a special recording of the SNES Super Side Quest. This is going to be more of an informational video rather than a gameplay, because we have something to discuss here about the current game, number 401, which was just displayed for you right there in the demo video. So we're gonna sit in this menu here for a bit. If you're not interested in this sort of thing, I would pop out now. I'm just gonna share my thoughts and talk for a little bit. Try and keep it a little concise. But game number 401, Hayazashi Nidan Morita Shogi, as well as game number, let me see what it was supposed to be, number 1231. Same name but with a 2 at the end. Both developed by Random House. Both of these are shogi board game simulators. They are sequels to the other shogi game that we played before, which was Shodan Morita Shogi. So the first one was Shodan, and now we're up to Nidan in the title names, which is the shogi rank. So this is like the higher rank shogi game. These are pretty much identical to the other game. And we have very similar options here for this game, and the reason why I want to, I don't know, just sit on some of the menus here is mostly so the demo video doesn't keep cycling. But this game has a problem, a known issue that has not been resolved as of the date of this recording / posting of this video on YouTube, which is 2024, May 2nd. So, this game uses a special chip known as the ST0011, or ST-0011. This is the only Super Nintendo game that uses that chip. And the sequel game, Hayazashi Nidan Morita Shogi 2, uses ST-0018. Now, these chips technically do exist. They are ripped on the internet, thanks to BU, or Near, as you may know them, the late Super Nintendo ROM hacking aficionado. So, many thanks to them for their efforts when I was on a journey looking these games up due to the problem we are faced with. I got to find some old posts from Near, and he was saying that it was like a 7.5 year dream of his he would like to see realized. This was a few years ago. To have these games working so that there is a 100% complete working Super Nintendo library. Now, as you can see, this game is running, but it doesn't work correctly. Now, the chip that I mentioned, the ST11, is some type of processing chip that is so huge. It houses the AI that plays the shogi game. Now, if I go to any of these game modes, which a quick translation that I had done earlier, this is like a training mode. Then you have game room, shogi game room number 1, 2, and 3. One of these was like rank up mode, so you could play to your rank settings, and I forget what the other ones were honestly right now, but they're basically the same settings as the previous game we played. Unlike the previous game we played, which worked. If you run this on any emulator, we are currently on SNES 9X actually, instead of my Super NT and the FX Pack Pro. Neither of them work. This is what happens. You can get into a game, you can hit the first option as game start. These are all settings for the AI, but we can take the first turn. So, on this screen here where I have the blue cursor, only SNES 9X so far gets to this point. When I hit that button to start a game in any game mode, the game crashes. This is true on SNES, Higan, the FX Pack Pro, running off of my Super NT, and that's just the case because this file is not like fully downloaded to be working. The file being ST11. That is, while we have the file out, it's not, I don't know what the correct word for it is, because I am not strong on the technical side of these things. It basically still needs work. Unfortunately, Bu is no longer with us, as many of you probably know. And this is just a simple shogi simulator. I don't think there's a huge interest out there, you know, of people who care to make this work for the sake of it working. But on SNES 9X, we can get to this screen. If you move any piece anywhere, it works. But then the game ends in a victory. Huzzah, we beat the game. You see, the AI chip doesn't even function. The AI simply concedes, or there's some sort of error and the game just treats it as a concede. And then we can come into these menus and set up the game again. We can look over, this is load, you can save a game, load a game, you can look over the turns and stuff, yada yada. If you're curious about the menus in a little more detail, you can go view my previous playthrough on the first game in this series. But this is the reality we live in. The game is not really playable, so I can't quote-unquote beat it in the traditional sense. Now, I'm not too fussed about that. This is, after all, like a chess master, or like Igyoku Goliath, the Othello simulator. It's strictly a training tool. It doesn't have credits in it. As far as I'm aware, there is no credit screen. I don't know if there's some button input code to get to a credit screen, or whatever. But regardless, you know, you can't complete it in the traditional I finished the game sense. But I wanted to make this recording to at least show the game off and maybe just for this to be a message out there. Now, the only thing I can do from my position is hope somebody cares enough to complete Bu's work and see this AI working. But I don't think that's going to happen. And yeah, that's not a big deal. It's okay that it is what it is. Now, for me, for my challenge, I am going to consider this game completed. For obvious reasons. I'm not gonna cry over spilt milk and sit here and, you know, whine that I can't actually get a game in. As far as I'm aware, this game doesn't have any multiplayer features either, so I can't play against chat or something interesting to that nature. It actually doesn't have two-player functionality, I think. Feel free to correct me if I am wrong on that. But we're going to treat the game as completed. Now, with this problem, there's also the sequel that has the same issue, only it's a little more extreme. So, in a surprise twist that I do not understand, the sequel doesn't even load on the FX Pack Pro. It doesn't even load on SNES, but it does load on SNES 9X. So we're gonna load it in, and I'm gonna show the box art for it just to show it. We're gonna treat it as also game number 401 for the sake of our challenge. I'm just combining these two games. And you can see it loads in, and then it crashes. This is what happens with the first game on everything except for SNES 9X so far. And this is what happens for this game because the ST18 file is missing two key things that basically make up the AI, and since there's no AI, the game doesn't know what to do. It doesn't even play its voice lines. It's probably stuck trying to read a code line over and over and over again if you were to look at the hex, RAM, information things. But I wanted to at least show the game off. So let me reset this one. If I can figure out how to reset this. There we go. As you can see, this game has a simplified menu. Now, I didn't translate these ones, but I think it's basically the same stuff. You can set up your own puzzles. This mode works. You can see they went for a brighter green background compared to the first game. This is like your password you can type in, and then you can watch a replay of a game that's saved on the machine or something. And you can, change the font and stuff to the super blurry. They still didn't unblurify this. This game came out near the end of the SNES lifetime. I did want to mention that. And sorry for the stream of consciousness, but while I'm thinking about it, the first game released in June 18th, 1993. The second game, which we're looking at, was May 26th of 1995. So I just want that information out there for the documentational purposes, I guess. Or whatever. Right, and it's gonna freeze again. I couldn't get back to the main menu from that screen. But anyway, I wanted to at least show these off to put it out there and let you guys know. So these two games will be exceptions on our challenge. Now, this is for the emulation side of things, right? I'm just gonna sit in this menu too, so that we don't have the game trying to play itself with the demo video. I am, I'm not shy about stating the facts. I am not the wealthiest person in the world, but down the road, if I get my act together, get some spending income, I wouldn't mind collecting actual carts of all of the Super Nintendo and Famicom games that I could. I don't really collect anything as it is. And I do have a handful of Super Nintendo carts behind me, including some Super Famicom ones. I think I talked about this before, but it's been a while. I have the Romancing Saga trilogy and a bunch of other things. Now, if I'm trying to copy the game name here. I haven't looked at this yet, so I don't know what to expect, but... Alright, according to just Google Shopping, this game is not so bad. It seems to be going for around $30. Most of these prices are $30 for the cart. I see a $54 one for the sequel. $45. So, you know, it's not astronomically impossible or out of range for me. It's just an expense that I can't really justify making. Down the road, if I come to acquire these games on their carts, I will happily revisit them for our challenge, and the goal, just like with the first game, will just be to beat the AI once. So it doesn't really seem worth it when that's the goal. But what can you do? The game is, you know, it doesn't have credits, doesn't have typical video gamey goals. It is simply a simulator to help people improve their shogi play. But I will do that, just like with various other games. If I get the opportunity to, and this also depends if the cart works on a Super NT. It should, in theory, the cart should work, because the chip is in the cart, thanks to the way Super Nintendo is developed, you know? But I'm not 100% sure if it'll work. It should, though. Anyway, so that's my idea for these games. We're gonna treat them both as completed. And yeah, that's about all I want to say. I wanted to show them off real quick, just a little bit, because I can't really play them. You know, game will break. If I gave it a quick review breakdown, I haven't done the SNES review series I would like to make for funsies and for showing off games, introducing it to new audiences. But I'd basically rate these exactly the same as the first game, honestly. They do not look that visually improved. They are slightly visually improved. I can tell. I did look up my old footage as a reminder. I actually loaded up the first game before I recorded as a reminder too. I crashed the game again. But anyway, they're basically exactly the same game. Even this intro is the same. It hasn't changed. The title's different for this, but that's about all. And you can see the 1995 copyright. Did I have any other thoughts to share for these two games? Yeah, I don't think so. I suppose just basic... Just another thought. I believe there is going to be... I know there's going to be 2 more games that I'll do a video like this for, which is the Japanese horse race betting cartridges, the JPA NTs or whatever. We'll deal with that when we get to them later, because they're towards the end. While I was looking up all the shogi stuff, I did come across the situation that there might be 3 other games that do not work because of their chips. Now, I forget the games. One of them was Tengai Makyo Zero. But I think that runs on emulator. I didn't try it. I could test it, but I'll test it later off screen. And I'll test it when we're getting closer to the game. I'm not worried about it now. But There may be a few extra games that do not work in any capacity due to special chips that aren't properly emulated, as people don't have the means to pull it off and they don't have the interest to pull it off. And that's where we stand. Right, the last thing that I wanted to say. If you happen to know of a setup to run this game with the AI working, please don't be shy and reach out to me and let me know. If we can get these games working, I will come back to them and we will beat the AI at least once, hopefully. I've done it before in the first game, so I'm pretty confident I can do it 2 more times over. But for the time being, we're 20 minutes in on this video, so I'm just gonna stop it there. Thanks very much for listening and watching, if anyone watched this one for some reason. We'll be moving on to game 402 after this. And since I'm combining these 2 games into one, our total list will be updated accordingly to be at -1 game. If I get these carts individually, I will re-add them as separate entries. I'm only combining them now so I don't have to, like, years down the road, make a second video that's basically this, but covering the second game. I figured they'll just do them both now. Get them out of the way. Anyway, I will let you all go, and I hope you all have a good one. Take care, everybody.